There we go. There we go. We're in. Good morning, everybody. Kimbo, Todd, Victor, how are we?
Doing fine and dandy for a Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
I'm doing okay down in the southern hemisphere. The sun's out and it's a little bit warmer today, which is good.
Okay, so just a quick reminder. This is our weekly chit chat, which is the opportunity for our Discord community, our YouTube channel followers, our Facebook friends, Twitch followers to get together in one place and chat about all the things happening around Thailand. So that's us. This is what we're doing it. Expat Paul, g'day. Mark in Thailand, Jorgen, Johnny Siam. Who else was I think Chris Brand was there before. Yep. Yeah. Now, currently, we'll only really have a lot of YouTubers on the chat because I've got a big YouTube community and a small Twitch community, but some of the Twitch, Twitch followers will, eventually come along once we start doing the Twitch stuff. But it's definitely working over there, and it's muted. Good. Okay. So. Live. I said I'm live now. Yes, that's all right. That's all right. I don't need to watch it, but yeah. Okay. I still can't work out how to make Facebook work, but we'll get onto that one. Anyway, so how is everybody today? Jack Dorrigan, g'day. How you doing? Good to see you. What were we talking? So where are we? Somebody was asking something. G'day. Say that again. Hurry up.
Yeah, I'm having a bad headache.
Oh, the makeup thing. Yeah. So yeah. I was shaving. I wasn't putting makeup on. It's not a drag night tonight. Come on. Okay. Where are we? So Todd sailing at everybody. Mark in Thailand. Johnny. Okay. Well. So. Get the show on the road. We're into it 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I usually wait for about 5 minutes, but anyway, we've got some articles to talk about. The news of the week that has caught my attention. There's lots of news going on, as you know, but there's news that catches my attention or our attention. If you do find articles, we do have a little thing on our Discord community. You can always put it in there for suggestions. This is all the way that it's a group. It's a group thing, Currently, it's articles that I think I might, enjoy talking about. Anyway, moving right along. What else? Everybody's saying hello to themselves. Okay, starting number one. What is the current situation with the ganja? Thailand decriminalised the drug over 2 months ago. Well, what is it? Was it 9th of June, July? Oh, so it's almost 2.5 months ago. Okay, and people still have got no idea. I know ganja is one of those sort of things that is on my, thinking process because I enjoy it. A lot of people don't, but that's up to you. It's been over 2 months. The move is a boon for the cannabis-related businesses. Still growing concerns for many, including medical professionals, getting louder as the draft cannabis bill makes its way through Parliament. Okay, what do Thailand's cannabis restrictions entail? On June 9th, Thailand became the first Asian country, or Southeast Asian country, to decriminalise cannabis. Yep. In theory, the tetrahydrocannabinol compound that creates the psychoactive effect in cannabis must be less than 0.2% if used in medicine or food. I still haven't read the actual, the proper mandate. It's one of these things. Nobody's really taken the Thai version of it and pulling it to pieces. Because again, you can Todd's learning the language. You know how you can read something that can be taken 3 different ways. Yes?
Well, yes. Yes. I had my lesson yesterday and got my favourite crew, my favourite teacher, and we spoke about the word chan because we're doing directions and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's one of the basic words. Chan, it means female, but it also means the 4 level. And it also means something else, and I've already forgotten that, and it means something else. And it's like, okay, where do I put that in the sentence structure, and what does it mean? And then I asked her, I'm frustrated I can't remember, And she said, oh, in what context? Because there's 5 words that mean frustrated depending on the context. So to translate Thai to direct English, it's very, very hard. And anyone that does that for a living, kudos to them. Kudos to them. So spot on. So getting I think it's 35 pages long, and translating that into correct English so people can have a basic understanding of it. It'll take 2 or 3 weeks to actually put it through the drafting, proofing, redrafting, and releasing process. So yeah, I don't have any issues with the fact that there's no sort of solid mandate out yet, because if it's confusing when it's written in Thai, which it is, because business owners and everything are having issues with it, imagine how it's going to be more confusing to translate it into English.
Well, I said there's 2 sides to it, and people don't realise there was because it was in the schedule for narcotics, it had to be removed. The first bill was to remove it from narcotics list, right? And that took 3 months. That takes 90 days through the whole process. And then, right, it became legal. But there was no framework for the legality. And so they quickly and hastily put it into the restricted herbs list, right? Which then obviously encapsulates this THC sort of component and everything else. Jorgen, couple of mark up. Good on you, buddy. Let's make sure all that's working too. So higher percentage cannabis extractors are legal. Households are able to cultivate plants at home with registration on the designated application. A Thai's got to do that, by the way. Not if you're a foreigner living here in Thailand by yourself. Well, it's not a good friend, Thai friend, to do it for you. And companies can also plant with a permit. The public health stressed the easing of restrictions aims to promote 3 areas, highlighted the medical benefits, serving as an alternate treatment for patients, which was what they used to use it for, and supporting the cannabis economy by pushing cannabis and hemp to be cash crops. Of course, cash crops, that entails selling the whole plant. Anyway, they estimate US $3 billion within 5 years. So they're saying it has potential to be a good cash spin. How to say cleared intestine? What are we talking about? How to say cleared intestine interrogates sand left and late morning and time. Okay, that's what.
Thai is left.
And there's what's it? Cly and Cly.
Yeah, and then there's like
Cly and Cly. Right, that's near and far. Cly and Cly. Can you tell the difference? If I got them right, got the tones run the right way.
Yeah. And then you say glai glai, and that is really near or really far.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, enough of this language. We will start language lessons next semester. What actually happened in Thailand after the cannabis was legalised? In reality, the grey legal area made it possible for people to have easy access to cannabis products, such as drinking water, food, sweets, cookies, and many products contain more than 0.2% THC. From Khao Road to Samui, many vendors set up shops to sell cannabis and cannabis-infused products. Restaurants advertise and serve dishes that contain cannabis. Among their ingredients, people including tourists, have been seen puffing on joints containing weed, despite the law forbidding the smoking of cannabis in public, as it is considered to be a nuisance. Okay. The students aged 16 and 17 were admitted to hospital in Bangkok for treatment of what was defined as a cannabis overdose. Yeah, well, they fell asleep. It's about all happens when you have a dose of cannabis, you all fall asleep. It's just whether you're behind the wheel or not is not a problem, let's make sure you're not behind the wheel when you do fall asleep, because it's not really good. The week after cannabis became illegal, 4 males, including a 51-year-old man, suffered chest pains. The 51-year-old man later died of heart failure, but it was later proven the fact that the underlying condition had nothing to do with cannabis. But I guess he went out pretty well, happy at least anyway. What's the ongoing control measures? In response, Mr. Atherton quickly signed regulations prohibiting people under the age of 20, pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers from possessing and using the cannabis unless they have doctor's permission. Several other rules including banning cannabis from schools and requirements for retailers to provide clear information on the use of cannabis in food and drinks, with a 25,000 baht fine. I think 3 months in jail is a more scary idea. Tourist industry in Thailand published Gazette guidelines, rules, regulations concerning cannabis, hemp for use in July, reiterated the important importation to Thailand of products containing cannabis is illegal. Yes, don't know how that's happening. Furthermore, 800 doctors from one of the hospital chains here have called for immediate suspension of the policy on cannabis decriminalisation pending information aid adequate controls to protect the young. So you get a lot of pushback at the moment from all the conservative parties. And during the censure debate in Parliament last month, the opposition grilled Mr. Atherton, who's now put his name in the ring to be next Prime Minister, by the way, accused him of causing social problems and violating local and international laws by decriminalising cannabis without proper controls. Mr. insisted the cannabis abuse would not happen during the tenure of this government, and he hoped that the relevant law would be passed quickly to regulate cannabis use. Right. What are the warnings that overseas governments issued? The hazy legal repercussions for violent and control measures have led to overseas governments issuing warnings. The US Embassy in Bangkok published an announcement with bold title, "Message for US citizens, recreational use of marijuana in public in Thailand is illegal." Right, so the US citizens now have no excuse. Don't see anything coming from the Australian government. Anything in here? So they're just asleep at the wheel again.
Start.
That's article number 5. It's all right. We'll get to that. Notification made clear that anyone smoking cannabis and hemp in public for recreational purposes still faces legal consequences. Yes, okay. UK government's website advertises citizens' private recreational use of cannabis is legal if THC content is below 2%. Right, they're all making these stories up, but nobody's read the rules. As for Singapore's country's Central Narcotics Bureau, made clear that checks are regularly conducted at various checkpoints, and consuming drugs outside Singapore's borders is a crime. So if you have a spliff here and then flew to Singapore and Chanya there, and they put you through a blood test and you had it, that's it. You're in the jail. Wick all the way. Under the the misuse drugs that Singapore citizens permanently resident found to have consumed controlled drugs outside will also be liable for drug consumption offences. I didn't even know there was one, but that's Singapore for you. Meanwhile, Chinese embassy in Bangkok issued a Q&A announcement that's on its website about how Chinese citizens should comply with the Thailand's. There are no clear rules on whether foreign citizens can apply to grow cannabis in Thailand. It should be reminded that the Thai government still strictly manages cannabis industry. The use of cannabis and its products must be based on health and medical reasons rather than recreational purposes, the embassy stated. Okay, what should one know before leaving Thailand with cannabis? Well, don't.
Don't leave Thailand.
Don't leave Thailand. That's it. Stay in Thailand. We don't want you going. Don't go away. We love you. Come back. Come back. Chinese embassy warned of grave consequences. China, the criminal law of People's Republic of China clearly stipulates that cannabis is a drug, and it is illegal to cultivate, possess, consume cannabis in China. Tetracot belongs to the first category of psychoactive drugs under the control of China, namely drugs and various products containing tetracaol are not allowed to be brought into China. It is a criminal offence to carry cannabis or cannabis products into China. The announcement reads on the embassy's website. Yeah, okay. The announcement added that Chinese citizens smoking cannabis and consuming food and beverages containing cannabis traces of biological samples such as urine, saliva and hair. This means that if for some reason Chinese citizens who smoke cannabis in Thailand later get drug tested in China when returning, they could face legal trouble and will be punished accordingly, deemed to have abused an illegal narcotic drug. So yeah, that's the thing people don't realise if you're not well versed in the industry, is the fact that it stays in your bloodstream for up to 2 weeks. So if you had a spliff on Saturday here and you flew home to China on Sunday and you got tested on Monday at your place of employment for then mandatory weekly drug tests, it would register cannabis use, and you would be then hauled up in front of the Bureau of Adjustment. Is that right?
Yeah. The Adjustment Bureau.
The Adjustment Bureau, that's right. I knew there was a movie called, yeah. Meanwhile, time. Okay. Meanwhile, time is in many countries such as Japan, Vietnam, warning they're bringing cannabis in the country based for the, yeah, okay, it's just strict style terms, yeah, okay. So that's where we stand right now. It is not illegal, but they're just trying to just make it internationally acceptable with the right words. General semantics, gotta love it. Okay, Victor, what do you say? International studies discuss highest levels of potency have reached addiction. That's very possible. Give us a bit more of that insight there, Victor. What's your take on that? Put his microphone back on. He's different remembers how to press the button. There he is.
I was just reading a few articles yesterday.
Let me just knock it.
The THC levels have now approached addiction level, and they call it a marijuana disorder.
Well, yes. I've been having these discussions, privately with a few people from the who gravitate towards the thing that's going on, and my take is the fact that not so much cannabis, but in the late 90s there was a chemist who synthesized tetrahydrocannabinol, or a number of different compounds that affected the body the same way as tetrahydrocannabinol does. So basically it was designed to again engage with the cannabinoid receptors in the brain, and they made what they call the synthetic cannabis. And people died from it because one of the reasons is the fact that cannabis is a natural product and has three major compounds that are being studied. There's THC, there's CBD, and there's CBN. And in these studies that they did for the synthetic cannabis, because it was legal, there was no law outlawing it. So it was, it was in the marketplace for about 5 years before a blanket rule came over. But in that 5 years, people died because people were messing around with the formulas, and as soon as they bring out one formula, they'd tweak the formula to make it a different formula, so they again skirt the rules, and people were just dying left, right, and centre. Going a long story short, is the fact that in that study process over 5 years, they realised that tetrahydrocannabinol itself is, like you say, it's very dangerous. It's the CBD and the CBN are the things that balance it out. If you take the CBD out and the CBN out, yes, it has similar effects as like peyote. So it's becoming very, very psychoactive, and of course, the natural tetrahydrocannabinol, doesn't cause death, but these synthetic ones that they brought out, just a tweak here, just a sort of a single chain, reduction, sort of another nitrogen molecule, and maybe an extra oxygen molecule here or there, and sorry, it's like rat poison. But anyway. It was soon outlawed. I'm pretty sure it's still being produced somewhere, but it's probably down in the black market somewhere, or in dark web.
I think they're talking more about the hybrids that they've grown that are stronger.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the conversation that they're having.
Well, that's what we're
defining addiction affecting one's life in a way that is adverse, such as driving, ability to work, anxiety, depression. Sleeplessness and all those things. So it's a definition of what is addiction and what products are possible. And they're saying it's a natural product because they are now, breeding, or what's the term for it, where they're making stronger versions?
They're crossbreeding and
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so Thailand has two what they call organically grown strains here. There's one predominantly sort of occupies the south of Thailand, one predominantly occupies the north of Thailand. The south of Thailand seems to have a preference for what they call the PopeKael, which is KD, which has a strange bouquet, which it's got a sort of an effervescent fruitiness to it, which is different as opposed to the Thai stick, which is this one here, which is sort of more of a grounded, greeny, grounded flavour. I'm sure they make up all different words to try to describe these different bouquets, and you see all the advertising and the different strains and all the special crossbreeds that they've got. They're coming up with some really magical words to make you think it's all good. But me, I'm sticking with the Thai stick and the KD because they're more natural. There's less crossbreeding in it. It's more of a natural product. And I find that the high from that's it's one of those sort of things. It gives you that mellowness that's just something comfortable. Whereas some of these people I know, one of my friends goes for the stronger stuff and he just loves just getting wasted on it. So I've never really enjoyed the whole being wasted on the product. I know I did it in the young days, but as I got older, I got over that. I found so many better things to do with it. Anyway, so we got Bob Smith is in the house. G'day, Bob. What have I been missing? How do you
just talking Thai language.
Oh, okay. So we got Thai language in the background. We got two conversations going here on the top.
Well, it makes it interesting, mate.
Oh, yes. Like again, this comment came up on Jen's stream yesterday. Why do people like coming to Jen's, Twitch stream, playing Star Citizen all the time? It's just the general banter going on between the group. Now we haven't really got the banter. We got a bit of banter going on here, but the banter we get on his is just crazy because the crew's a bit younger and a little bit swearier, but it's quite fun.
Well, we've got to try and get through a live stream without YouTube demonetizing it. We just got to try it at least.
Oh well, I've been finding, but on that subject, yeah, they yellow flag it as soon as it gets encoded. Then I submit it, and within probably 2 days it's back good again. So their AI is flagging it incorrectly, but unfortunately it's going to take probably 2 months of me doing that because I haven't been doing that before. Like it's going to look. There's nothing wrong with that. Complies with the compliance. Your AI is wrong, not me, and they're getting to it quicker to reflag it. But it's it's not about the money. It's just that's just YouTube. Have you seen any increase in hemp products? I haven't seen anything in retail. Well, I got 2 videos in the can. And we walked through Don Wai Market there. I was making a few comments more about, you've got a food wet market on the river there, which is also a floating market and restaurants and everything else. And probably every 10th stall has, a dozen or so hemp plants. You don't see any other live green plants in the marketplace. You see all the other produce, but you don't see the live plants. But see, Thailand traditionally has used the product in their cooking, right? And they're not selling it to foreigners, they're selling it to Thai people so they can grow it at home, so they can put it in their tom yum gai. There is a specific tom yum gai recipe, right? Traditional northern region recipe. Specifically, one ingredient has been missing for 50 years, right? And that's the ganja. The recipe's not the same, and so that's one recipe. But I've been told now there's 6 particular recipes that all benefit from the use of it. So that's why it's in this wet market. But you'll see that in the video anyway. Am I thinking clothing? Well, hemp clothing. That's going to take a bit longer because they have to start to grow the hemp. That's a full season, right? So they were allowed to legally grow the hemp last year, so they were setting up the industry. They've got to get all their thrashing machines, but I would expect to start to see some hemp products coming through. But whether the hemp products are going to sway the buyer away from Thai silks, I don't know. So Thai silks are much more luxurious a product to sell to foreigners than hemp-based products. Hemp-based products is more going to be sort of found in, your typical carry bags for shopping, because they're very strong, that might be taking a bit of while before that comes through. I am growing 4 rye of hemp and it makes ropes for Victorian ships. Okay. Well, that's the tall 4 masters. In the 30s, they used to go down the docks and smoke rope, didn't they? Going solo, mate. Anyway, so that's where's 20? I've only got one article. Okay, let's move on. The more important stuff. Let's get off the subject. This one here caught my eye. It's who wants to read this one?
The city night spots.
Yeah.
It's all about the zoning. We were talking about this before. There's been like the big fire. I think it was the B2 nightclub down at
Yeah.
Phuket. Yeah. And a big brouhaha because it wasn't zoned, it wasn't licensed, it wasn't controlled, and it had a big fire with non-compliant materials in the building, and I think it was 17 people have died. There's still a lot more in hospital that aren't too well, and condolences to those families. But it's more about the zoning came in 1960s, 1965, where you can actually have a night spot.
This is the article here,
Yeah. I'm just doing it off the top of my head because I can't control the article and read it. But,
That's right.
It's more about, okay, they want to allow the nightlife to respawn again, but over the years, for the last 60 years, nightlife has spawned in areas that they can't control locally or via any government policy. So that's where all the issues are when they trying to enforce, okay, you need to regulate, so you're fire compliant, you need to have the right alcohol license, everything like that. But there's no big clusters, and I suppose they brought that in so you could have areas that were easy to control. But that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So when they put forward, okay, we want to kickstart the economy again by revamping the nightlife after everything being in lockdown, they're finding all these issues. And it's making the rebuild and the revamping and I suppose the retuning of it a lot more difficult. And it's all to do with the reactive part of it. They wait until something bad happens and they sort of review it and go, well, it shouldn't happen in the first place. But over the years, everyone's sort of done their own thing, and it's making it a lot more difficult to kickstart that side of the economy.
Yeah, I do. I do find Thailand authorities are very reactionary, very quick to react. In this case, there was the 19, resulting in deaths of 19 and injuries of more than 30 people at the Mountain Bee. There was nothing in the news about the fire that was in Silom Soi 2, which was on July 7th, so about the same time. So, but there was nobody killed in that one. So. Wasn't news. The news circuit didn't jump on that and say, "Oh my God!" But they've looked at it, and the fact that 2 recent blazes in the space of a week has reminded them of the fact that somebody's dropped the ball again. But yeah, so I was looking at these 3 places. There was Patpong, namely Patpong Road, is zoned as the right area for entertainment, right? Royal City Avenue, or that's RCA. That's where up near where Ethan used to live. Does anybody? Do I need to point? I'll show you where RCA is if you want to get an idea. Just zoom out. It's the RCA. It has a very particular look on the map. If I zoom in, I think that's it there. Something in the dispensary. So that's a Rama 9. So this is the RCA area. There's a go-kart track there. There's a few other bits and pieces. That is the RCA? Or am I got it wrong again? I'm sure it looks like RCA. Or is it that one? Oh. RCA Plaza. Oh no, there it is. Me. Yeah, so good. Where was the easy cart? That's what I was looking for. We're going to go there, Todd. That's another thing. We're going to go there and do some go-karting. But this is what they call. This is an area that they is zoned as entertainment. Now, who goes there? I know people go there. There's a market there, but I've never been there. You know, in the 20 years I've been coming here, or 18 years I've been coming, never been to RCA. Never even thought about it as an entertainment place. But I know Ethan did a 360 video walking through there one time about 3 or 4 years ago. And not at all interested in going there to check that place out. Yes, Pat, you can come too. You're always welcome to come and hang out with us. Yes, that's zone number 2, and where is it? Number 3, which I thought was totally weird, which was Ratchetson Road. And I couldn't work out where this one was exactly, but I'm guessing it's around the Rama 9 area, which is up here, because this is the actual road that. Where is it? Yeah, the Rama 9. There it is. Yeah, so. Supposedly around this area, there's the train night market. This is the third area up here that was recommended as being what that in the 1960s as the third entertainment zone. Yeah, it's a shopping zone. It's not even entertainment. I suppose it's coffee shops, but it's not really what I'd call an entertainment zone. So you can see how out of date it is, you know, considering all the places where these hearts are is all the places we hang out and entertain ourselves. None of this stuff is zoned. People have changed their lifestyles in terms of dining and hanging out. Instead of going to old places, they visit other new sites such as Trong Law, Ekamai, Soyari, Banom Yoi. I don't even know what that one is. Khao San Road. Khao San Road's not even zoned as an entertainment zone. Lat Prao Road. There's so many other places and all that stuff around there. You know, Sukhumvit and all that. Anyway, so yeah. Entertainment under the venues. Yeah, this was 1966 was when it was. They just haven't updated it. The Act was amended in 2003 to limit the operating hours. And this is the other side of it, is the operating hours. They want to extend the operating hours to 4 a.m, but none of the entertainment places now can be included because they're going to extend it to 4 a.m. in these designated nightclub or not these zones. So it won't be allowed technically for people in around Sukhumvit. So it's a whole quandary of bullshit going on, which such a thing. Anyway, but information. There are 241 licensed pubs in the city, but only 80 of them are located within the 90 nightlife zones, while 161 of them are located outside the zones. However, there is another 651 locations operated without licenses. It's not like 1 or 2. It's slipped under the. No, there's 651. Only 12 of them are located in the permitted zones. Gotta love Thailand. This is Thailand. We love it. Yeah, RCA and Lama 9 are all close to each other. Yeah, so they were trying to push it up that area. I don't know why, but yeah. It's all good. Just noticed that my little, what's that not working for? Just do I actually have to run the dashboard for that to work? Do I?
Oh, your auto messages.
Yeah, auto messages aren't coming through. I haven't changed anything then. Alright, still logged in under the right account.
That's a lot too soft.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I'll get it worked out. This is all before I go. I don't want to do all the. I'll mess around with it here when I start doing the Twitch streaming. Then I get it all right. Anyway, moving right along. What's our time? 35 minutes. Okay. more about the state of the affairs coming up, I think. Thai economy set to face headwind for second half despite revival of tourism industry, says World Bank. This one here caught my eye. Thailand's economy could face some headwinds from a volatile global economy and lower purchasing power of Thai households, despite the Thai economy starting to witness benefits from the higher number of tourists as the country opens to tourism. The World Bank's new country manager told Thai Inquiry, despite the negative impacts of the higher energy prices and rising inflation, which is due to the energy prices, consumption will be supported by increased mobility and demand for consumer goods. The incumbent World Bank, country leader of World Banks, and the incumbent country leader for the okay. However, rising food and fuel prices erode household purchasing power and threaten food security, especially among low-income households, given the large share of food spending in their household budgets. And this is something people don't realise. Out of a typical household budget in Australia, on possibly typically what's a household budget? $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week is their take-home pay for a typical household, on average, in Australia.
Oh, in Australia.
Yeah.
Roughly,
Yeah. So about and out of that, from that $1,000 typical budget, they'll be spending maybe $200 on their food budget. So probably 1/5 of their household spending, or their income, or their weekly income, goes on food security. Whereas here in Thailand, pretty much 50 to 70% of their household budget goes on food security, basically putting food on the table. And people don't realise that, and this is why we have, low prices on food, and because we have a fairly sort of large section of the population who are what we would consider in the West, borderline poverty. But Thais make do. Got a message, have to pop up to shop, and so Mama Noodles is going up. No, they actually they poo-hooed that one. I think we covered that. I think it covers it in this article here anyway. But yeah, there was this thing. There's 5 companies that make the instant noodles, and they've all asked the government to allow them to put their retail price from 6 baht up to 8 baht per packet. And the government said no, it'll seriously adversely affect too many people. You wouldn't think about it, 2 baht. So that's sort of 10 cents. Putting up 10 cents is going to severely affect the ability for Thais to put food on the table. Yes, it's quite possible. People don't realise how close to the edge it is, but Thais make do. That's the way it is. He said that although the main drivers for Thailand's economic growth in the second half will be private consumption and tourism recovery, the main challenge is likely to be low household purchasing power and global economic slowdown. The whole planet's going into recession at the moment. Thailand household debt to gross domestic product in Thailand is 11th highest, world's 11th highest, and is an issue that is likely to prevent the consumption-led economy recovery that many practice. So Thailand's going to suffer because they don't have the spending power to buy another mobile phone or a new computer. Who are the parcel of banks? They estimated a 10% increase in the global food price would raise property rate by 1.4% percentage points, and increase of 10% on energy price would raise property by another 0.2 percentage points. The bank said last year that the number of poor people in Thailand increased from 3.7 million in 2019 to 5 million in 2021 because the economic impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic. The national 4 million people who are making just 3,000 baht per month. This is that's sort of mother's take-home pay. This is what mother makes. She doesn't make much, but she, I think she makes a bit more. I think she makes about 3,000 baht every 2 weeks from what she's doing. I don't pry too much into it. I see the ledger floating around with pages open every so often. Keep an eye on it, What's this one down here? Oh, hello! We had somebody else jump in. Hello, Sean. Here's me reading articles.
Amen. I just booked my vacation for the end of the year today.
Did you?
I'll be seeing you guys. Yeah, I'll be seeing you guys soon.
When?
Christmas time.
Christmas. Okay, so you
Through
booked for
most-
Christmas.
Yeah, through most of January.
Okay.
Same as this year.
So like December,
And,
January, 2 months,
Full months. Yeah.
4 months. Cool.
And here's my invitation. There's a great restaurant near my hotel. I'm inviting you guys. And,
Good.
Jerry and Chris and Apple and whoever else I know.
Good.
My treat.
We will be there with bells on.
All right. Sounds
Anyway. The expected growth, let me just get back to the expected gradual path that reflects the remaining COVID concerns, a weak economy and continued travel restrictions to China, the slowing global economy and the impact of the war in Ukraine on the cost of travel. Right, so these are all the things that are bearing down on us. Challenges. In terms of the economic challenges, after more than 2 years of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine and its global effects on the commodity market, supply chains, and inflation and financial conditions have steeped the slowdown in global growth. Yes, global growth is projected to slow from 5.7 in 21 to 2.9 in 22 and 3% in 23, as the war significantly disrupts activity. And of course, Thailand and China doing what China's doing. As a result, Thailand expects export goods are expected to grow. Strong growth in 18% growth of the previous year. World Bank's 4.5 investment growth is much lower than expected. Yes, what else was there? I talk about the Federal Reserve, fiscal stimulus. Yeah, so it's not looking, but Thailand's going to suffer more through the slowdown than anybody else because of the large percentage of the economy that's not really well serviced waiting for the tourists to come back and spend money on ganja, obviously. Anyway, a little bit of a light-hearted look at what to do in the rainy season before we get onto Todd's article for the last 10 minutes. Okay. Fun things to do indoors on a rainy day in Thailand. Well, they didn't have the go-karting here, but the mention of Thai rainy season sends fear and dread running through most of tourists and visitors alike, who imagine the deluge of endless water cascading from the sky for days on end and flooding the streets and up to your ankles, up to your knees in water. And this is a common misconception held by holiday makers. Yes, it does rain, and there will be days when the weather interferes with your vacation and you have to swim across the street, but it won't stop you from having a great time. Here are some fun things you can do on a rainy day. Experience a Thai massage. Here we go, number one, a Thai massage. There is a little sub-note here. Here's our 2 cents. I like this. Here's our 2 cents. Come on, stop that. Choose a Thai massage parlour wisely, especially if you're travelling with your family or significant other. Some places might look like a typical Thai massage, but once you step inside, they offer special massages of an erotic kind. Probably not the place you want to take your wife. Relax in a cafe. If you're not into taking photos, then that's okay. Sit back, relax, and drink your favourite cup of joe. If you're travelling with someone who has a sweet tooth, every cafe will have something to fill a craving. Also, visit a cafe when it rains is an opportunity to plan ahead. Yes, cafe lifestyle here in Thailand is growing. The main central areas of habitation always have coffee shops. When you get out to the west, you might find coffee consists of your 3-in-1 cup of joe with an ice cube in it for an iced coffee, but they're in the villages, but still coffee is coffee. Go on a shopping spree, if you can still afford it. Has a number of attractive shopping malls and not disappearing anytime soon. Locals love their shopping malls, and you can find them flocking to them en masse when they have a chance. One reason, because they've got air conditioning. We love the air conditioning that they put on there. You can walk inside and you don't have to pay an entrance fee for the air conditioning and you just cool down for the day. Whether that's after work or on the weekend or just because you just want to cool down. In theory, shopping malls seem like a boring activity. No, they're not. But don't rule out having everything you need, mouth-watering restaurants. Oh, and the restaurants. Some of these places, half a shopping mall can be restaurants. Like the shopping mall out here, the Central Salia, I reckon 50% of the shops in there are restaurants or eateries. Not like Australia where you might get half a dozen. KFC, McDonald's, Pizza Hut. Nothing really interesting. Siam Paragon has an aquarium and a bowling alley. I didn't know they had a bowling alley. Perfect for families and couples. MBK has the arcade, has an arcade. M Quarter has Bounce, an indoor trampoline park. Got to go and check that out as well. Can adults use it? Sounds like fun. Well, every floor of the 9-story Terminal 21 mall, every floor of the 9-story Terminal 21 mall is decorated and designed with a theme on the world's best known shopping streets. Okay. Yes, I've been there before. Visit a cinema. Now, cinemas are quite light. They get these really big king and queen, the big seats, 2 people for 2,000 baht, and food all thrown on the price. The only problem with cinemas is the fact you've got to make sure you read the board out the front. Don't get the ticket that says Thai language only because they don't do English subtitles. And if you take the English one, you'll have to put up with Thai subtitles. Unfortunately, that's the way it here is. And if you're getting out of the main city, finding an English with Thai subtitle movie is next to impossible. I think probably 1 movie out of every 10 in Petkisem might have English with Thai subtitles, but you get out this, I forget it. I have not seen a single movie here in English with Thai subtitles at all out in the cinema out here. So that's only 30 minutes west or 30 kilometres west of Bangkok. Just to give you an idea, yeah. Anyway, and this is the last one that caught my eye. Thai cooking classes. Never even thought about doing Thai cooking. I'd like to learn a bit more Thai cooking because of course the stuff I read was only from books. Thai cooking is renowned throughout the world for its outstanding flavours. Take cooking classes. When we used to do the meet-up on Friday with Jerry, we used to do the morning at coffee, we used to do lunch at the food hall, and we used to go upstairs in the Emporium. There was actually a cooking school up there on the 7th floor, and we used to sort of, they used to let the public in and eat the food that the apprentice chefs were for eating, which I thought was pretty good. Unfortunately, but after about when COVID hit, that sort of much pretty much slipped by the wayside, and they really, because it was foreigners going there to do the cooking classes, and of course foreigners not coming, well, the school had to close. Such is life. But there are other schools that they say. So there's 5 things to do, and go-karting. We did mention go-karting. So anyway, Todd's turn. Todd's turn.
My turn. I'm just typing a message, but I can get to this. The ongoing saga of my passport. Yes, it was my mistake, my fault. I lost my passport. Most people understand that now. It has now been almost 2.5 months since I applied for my replacement passport through the embassy, doing the right thing. It took me 3 weeks to actually contact someone at the embassy because there's no direct line of communication. And when they finally got back to me, they said, "Oh, it's in the printing queue." Having a chat with my little brother, he said, floating around in the social media aspects of Australia, which I don't have any real connections with anymore, they're saying that the actual printer that prints the passport is Hubbard. Not working. So a lot of people, unless you've got the money, a compassionate reason, or a large business appointment to attend, passports aren't being produced. So I am a little bit pissy now because hey, I don't mind if something's wrong.
Hmm.
Just don't lie to me. Don't deceive me. And don't sort of ignore the situation that I'm a foreigner living in a foreign country where legally you've got to have an active passport, and I can't put my hands on one. I can put my hands on one that is destroyed and you can recognise it, but I can't book hotels. I can't fly.
And
But we lost Todd. You pressed the wrong button. He'll be back in a minute. It's all right. He'll get it right in a minute.
Hello.
Hello. We've got you. We've got you. Yeah,
I
we
just had a spike.
you had a spike.
Spike. Yes. That was
Haven't you got your router on the UPS?
Yeah, UPS is on. That was very interesting. Or a Star Citizen bug.
Yeah, I'm going to that bug once you finish the stream. I found out I can force that bug to happen just by opening a web page. I can be in Star Citizen, open a web page, crash Star Citizen from a third-party program web browser. Anyway, another thing altogether. Bob asked a question. Bob asked a question. Have you any thoughts on the new long-term resident visa coming in September? Not at all. Basically, I don't have a $30,000 a year income, which I think is part of the requirement, wasn't it? Or was it 40,000?
Or a significant amount of investment.
Yeah.
I mean, the details are fractured at the moment. I did send.
No, I'm not poor. People think I got lots of money. I'm poor. I don't have lots of money. I've got a limited budget. You know, I have a shortfalling in my whole budgetary plan by about $100,000, which I have to make up in the next 3 years. Otherwise, I find myself going to be scripting as saving a little bit more than I need to, because that's how much my budget has been blown out because of the 2 years of the fuck around that we've had. But I'm pretty sure everybody else is in the same boat. But ultimately, we just have to reassess and rejudge and think of better things to do, think of better entertainment, and help each other out. Bob, waiting for clarification on some of the details. Cooking, make sure I bring MSG. Yes, monosodium glutamate. And what about all the people who are gluten intolerant and then eat MSG? Does anyone even think about that? Waiting here too. Hopefully some clarification around docs that prove I have experience in my field. Okay, Bob, sounds interesting. Robert Gray, good morning. Robert's in the house.
Groves.
there goes.
Hope all is well, mate.
Now, anything else I missed? Will Thailand economy suffer from the benefit that China has?
While you're reading,
Yeah.
I've just got to put it out there. There'll be some FOIs inbound to the Australian Embassy soon. Just making it.
Yeah, I was going to say, who do you know in Australia can rock some cages there to highlight this?
I do have a couple of mates still working at DFAT. I don't want to go down that channel because.
No, I mean highlight this thing. Like this is a complete schmozzle that.
Yeah.
Okay, they're bringing it to highlight now, but they should be protecting the foreigners who are stuck. That should be priority number one. You're in a foreign country without a passport.
Yep.
Right? That is illegal, not only under the Foreign Country Act, but also in the Australian Act. You're an illegal citizen here. Technically, although it's a grey area because you are legally there.
Paper trail. And
You've got a paper trail.
So, and I've got a copy of my visas and everything. I've got all the right thing. I did check because I had to do my 90-day check-in with the damaged passport and everything like that. And the young girl laughed. She said, "Okay, have you applied for a replacement?" I showed her the receipt. Yes, I've done my appointment. That was 2.5 months ago. DFAT.
Yes.
And having worked in that area of government for over 14 years, I used to get my ass kicked if I didn't act on something within 24 hours. And that was just a missive to me. So to spend 3 weeks to try and get in contact with our embassy, yes, 4 months, I found that out, Robert.
The printer will be up and running soonish.
I've got an Epson inkjet in my little brother's place in Adelaide they can borrow. I'm sure that'll suffice to make some.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could draw it freehand a lot easier and faster.
What gets me is like you got this 12 to 16 week delay for the official passports. What's the delay on the fake passports? Nobody's talking about this one.
That didn't even enter my mind without knowing how my brain works. But it's just the fact that they, I used to get raked over the coals if I didn't respond to something in a legitimate and cohesive fashion within 24 hours, and it's just diminished responsibility now. That's the two words that I'm hanging my hat on at the moment: diminished responsibility. So someone stuffed up, and I go back to when I first came here last year, was it, with my antigen test.
Yeah.
The machine broke 6 hours before I was meant to receive my test. I had 3 months worth of planning lined up, and in Adelaide at that stage they only had one machine. I mean,
Exactly.
come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Plan B, Plan C, Plan D. I was always told to have an escape route. And don't start me on the plates either. I'm
Yeah.
not even going to talk about that.
Well, the only time I've ever had to produce my passport was banking and for immigration. Every other place I've used a photo on my phone of my passport has been sufficient. When they've asked the question. But that's usually not on a legal framework. Sort of banking is a legal framework that they must check the box. Immigration must check the box.
And the same for hospitals. I had to speak very nicely to be able to become a member of a hospital, to be able to get some hospital treatment. But technically, yes, I needed to show a physical copy of my passport. And it's just like I said, I've been told by a few people I can actually maybe do some domestic travel if I've got my Thai driver's license with me, which I do have. But technically, you must show your passport when boarding immigration as a alien in a country. It doesn't matter whether you're travelling internationally or domestically. But I did see an update on the passport website from Australia that they can do emergency passports within 2 days if you produce the paperwork, but only if you live in Australia. On the Australian Embassy website, they don't process expedited passports. So,
Sucks, yeah.
Here in the States, I've experienced this twice where my passport has been expired, and we have congressional districts. Speaking with my congressman, they have an advocate within the office, and I've always gotten my passport within 2 days to 3 days. Do you have that sort of a advocate in Australia?
I do, but I don't want to use it. It's not something. I mean, I'm outside of the government framework now, apart from my business.
No, I don't mean a grant. I mean a representative. That's their job.
And there's the gin.
Yeah.
Right, everyone.
Go
How
on.
we going?
Good.
There are your elected members that you can go to, but by the time I do all that, find out a contact, draft up something to send them, and then wait for their reply, it'll probably take another 3 to 4 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
So,
For me, it was simply a phone call to the office, an appointment with the, and 2 days later go down and pick up my passport.
But that's America and a little bit different, yeah.
yeah.
Was it?
But I mean, like,
Yeah.
it took me 3 weeks to finally get a response from 3 emails, tried to get 2 phone calls, tried to send 2 messages on their active Facebook site where they say you can contact us on our Facebook site. No reply. So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm really sick, really injured, need to get back home, I don't have an active passport. It's going to take time to get an emergency passport, and if I needed consulate assistance, you can't get hold of anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that's
If
my
you don't
lead.
want to do it, you don't want to do it. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
elected representative. That's their job. Do it within 2 or 3 days.
Well, I still pay taxes and it's paying their wages. They still get paid by the Australian government. So
Then call them up.
Yeah.
you can't. I
You
tried
can't.
their phone number, and it goes to 4 sections of automated responses, and 3 of them say check on our website for more details.
You're talking
Yeah.
about the passport office.
No, I'm talking about the actual consulate, the embassy.
Consulate. Yep.
All right, I'm talking about your district representative in your hometown. Or
Well, I'm not going to
your
spend
province.
$300 on phone calls to call my district representative back in Australia, which legally the consulate or embassy of any single government should be able to assist you.
Yeah. This is Australia. It's a little bit backward when it comes to this sort of stuff. You're not buying iron ore, you're not buying coal, so we don't want to know anything about you. That's it. Now, if you're buying iron ore or coal or uranium, well, then top of the queue, no problem. But yeah, other than that, yeah. I think the Thai people have a better, the Thai government has a better understanding of Thai people than the Australian government has of the Australian people. But it's just my opinion.
Well, I went into the immigration to do my 90-day check-in, and they were fantastic. They
Yeah.
understood. I said to it, I'm an old guy. I washed my pants and had my passport in it. Here's what remains my passport. I've got.
And they're laughing under them.
laughing at me. And obviously, I'm losing face because I've done something wrong. But for me, I've sort of thick-skinned enough it doesn't worry me. And I said, can you please provide me with the 90-day? Yep, easy. Again, I'm still in immigration for 4 minutes. They come back with a piece of paper. So legally, I'm doing everything right for the Thai government. What's really annoying me is the amount of support I gave the Australian government, the Australian people during my tenure. I just want a little bit of that reciprocated back, but obviously not.
Anyway, that's enough. I think we've had a fairly full day today. A few articles there. We're going to try to keep this format on track and going forward. But
Give me overtime if you want, Waz. You can buy me another Smirnoff Ice.
yeah, that way we can organise that for next week. But yeah, no, it's all right. We want to continue, of course. The whole idea is, we do here. Of course, my bot's not working today, so it hasn't put any links up today. Of course, dumb shit. But anyway, such is life. I don't know. I clicked. What button did I not click? Anyway, we will eventually work it out. Once I get this thing worked out on YouTube, then of course there'll be a quick changeover to do it for the Twitch gaming shit. But yeah, then we'll get into gaming. But that's still a few weeks away until I can be confident that I'm pressing all the right buttons. Jen was in late, but you got a stream on this afternoon. Your third application for partner failed,
Yes.
and you're off to.
Again.
It's another 3 weeks for our partner application again. Keep our fingers crossed. Yeah. I think it's going to be 6. No, it'll be it'll be law of 5s, mate. Law of 5s, because everything is somehow equal to the number 5. Yeah. And even if it's number 6, it will be still equal.
5 months for my passport.
Yeah. That's probably 5 months. It's the law of 5s. Anyway, we're over time. We're out of here. If you want to continue chatting, we are here. You know with the links in the description box below. So pop in and say hello and come and join out. We're going to go and play some games now. We're out of here. Find my closing screen, and we'll talk to you again next week. Peace out. Chris, I can't say I missed the bot. Well, I don't know what did I do wrong. I did something wrong. Pressed the wrong button. I didn't have the bot open when I started the stream. I don't know. But you've got to have the bot open just before you start the stream.